Thank you very much for joining us again in the Planet Sioni studios. My name is Joshua Adegbite. The Osun State Governorship Election they have come and gone. But of course, when we talk about election, the focus is to continue to get it better as far as our democracy and electioneering process is concerned in this country, Nigeria. Now, a winner has emerged, but it is very important and pertinent to study the pattern, to study how and what transpired during the election so that we can use this as a way to set an agenda for ourselves in the future. So today, I'm going to be talking about with one of the people, the organization that monitored this particular election, and of course, they have released their interim report. We have their report out there. I'm talking about the Kimpact Development Initiative. With me on the seat in the studio today is the team lead, the executive director, who is also the mission director of Kimpact Development Initiative, Mr. Bukola Idowu. Mr. Bukola Idowu, good to have you in the
Same here.
studio.
Thank you so much. It's
Thank
good
you.
to join you.
Thank you very much. And I must say, there's a big fish that we have there, and it's an opportunity for us to have to sit with him here today. So, the KDI released its interim report just before the announcement declaration of the winner. Yes, we're looking at maybe operational, yes, successful in some parts. When you talk about technology aspects, logistical aspects, and some integrity concerns. So this is one are the things that I want us to delve on today. I saw in your report about INEC delays. Delays in some places, you reported 43% of late arrival of INEC officials. So, what do you think caused the delays? And did they actually affect the outcome?
Well, I think that is one good thing that we need to highlight that the lapses that we saw, of course, in most of the isolated cases, do not have substantial impact on the election.
Okay.
But the impact is one. There are two things. Number one is the arrival of INEC official at the polling unit.
All right.
Then number two is the commencement of polls. Now, why that was not an issue, because the data you just talked about is the arrival of INEC official at the polling unit.
All right.
Now, in most places, they arrive late. But the good thing was that they were able to set up late to commence election on time. So, and I think that is the good thing. Now, where it will have had an impact on the election was the late commencement of polls.
Okay.
So, and in most places that they commenced election late, the implication what we saw, because we observed the opening, we observed the arrival when they arrive, because they are supposed to arrive at 8 o'clock. But some of them arrive at 8:20, like that.
What do you think caused this?
Well, for some of them, logistics. So for some of them, the security agencies. So in fact, the majority of the people that arrive late are because of the security, because they cannot leave the rack center without the presence of the security agencies. By the time you are leaving the rack center to the polling unit, you are going with the sensitive material, result sheet, and everything. So they have to wait for the police. So if the police doesn't come on time to pick them, then they are not likely going to move. So, but the good thing was that some of them that arrived late now are able to quickly set up the polling unit and then start as early as possible. But where they started late, one impact that we saw is that in those places, election ran into the night. So what it means is that meanwhile, when you are preparing for election, when INEC is preparing for election, INEC doesn't prepare for torchlights. They don't prepare for generator or light. They expect that. Okay. In fact, what the law says is that by 2:30, the poll close, and then they start counting and the rest. So you can imagine that. So, and that is with the assumption that you are starting at 8:30. So when you are now starting an election at 9, you cut off some hours, or 10, then you cut off some hours. So and then depending on the turnout, then it run into the night.
Okay, so now let's move away from that and talk about vote buying, or we call it vote trading, vote merchandising, whatever we want to call it. From the report, KDI reported like 19 cases. So let me just ask in simple terms, how widespread
No,
was this?
that is like 19%.
19%. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
So 19%
Yeah.
of the total polling
Total
units
polling units.
we cover, and that is huge. So when you look at 19% of 3,000, let's just use that. I mean, it's more than 10 polling units, it's more than that. So that is a bit huge. So, but the issue here is this: it is widespread, but it has gone a bit sophisticated
Okay.
now, and it's in three ways, and I break it down. Number one is the one that we call the institutional vote buying. The institutional vote buying doesn't happen on election day. Institutional vote buying happen on before the election.
Before the election.
So what does that mean? That a bulk amount of money is given to associations.
Okay.
And then you say, okay, you distribute it, trickle down to the members of that association. So for instance, now I decide to say, hey, NURTW, I go to them, and this is the money for you. And then and at the end of the day, the money goes down to every membership. So every members, if they are already talking in one way, it can even be the workers, the civil service. I mean, the civil servant,
Civil servants
something
too.
goes to them,
Into
and
their
then
accounts.
that is institutional. So that day, you are on election day, so you can stand on the polling unit and can be argued, oh, there was no vote buying, but that was done before the election.
Before the election.
Number two is the one that you see at the polling unit. The one you see at the polling unit is targeted to undecided voter.
Okay.
People that show up on that day that have not made up their mind, and they didn't belong to any association, they are not a member political party, so they just show up, and that is why you now have canvasser that rush to them and say, let me help you to do this, and they say, okay, vote for us, this is how much, and that is what we saw. Then the last one, again, is that in some instances you have money being transferred electronically.
So they've gone digital.
So you look at that three particular model. So again, what we now notice is that these people are also very smart and they understand the law. So there is a way they are
both
not
parties,
taking,
right?
yes, both
those
parties,
who are buying and those who are selling.
everybody. So there is a way that these things are not being taken outside the perimeter of the polling unit. Now, and as at that time, it's difficult for an arrest to be made. So for instance, now if we vote here and I move out like about 300 meters out, radius out, and then I went to collect money, or we are queuing to collect money, you can't go and tell them that this is, if they said they are queuing to collect their job money, because nothing is being done within that perimeter. So that is what, all the person that money was transferred to, how do you trace that? But all these things cumulate to be vote buying. And that is why before an election, the serious political party already have an average number of people that will vote for them based on the money they have pushed out.
I caught something from what you just said, because I think that will lay credence to when you listen to some of these political bigwigs. They're saying, "Oh, we already have our results based on what the job they have done." So they assume that we've settled this part, and so
that if you are able to catch this number from here, they are okay, and they put resources there. The only thing they do is to begin to monitor it.
Okay, well, let's talk about security now. You also had your submission on security, and even before your report, prior to the election, there were a lot of plethora of issues, violent issues, political brigandage killings in some parts of the state. Well, during the election, there were some reports of violence in one or two places. Two shots were fired in places, ballot boxes were snatched too. So, but let me now ask you about the conduct of the security agencies.
So before, let me take it from before the election.
All right.
Before the election, something instructive that we can see from our data, and for the data we have, and then that is out there, is the dynamics and what has happened in Osun. Now, when you look at 2023 or the governorship of Zakul election, which Osun ended. Now, Kogi, Imo, Bayelsa in 2023, then Edo and Ondo in 2024, and then you go Anambra in 2025, and then Ekiti in 2026, and now Osun. Now, before Osun, all the off-cycle, one of the things we discover is that non-electoral violence was more than the electoral violence. So which means those criminality, kidnapping, and no government were more than election-related violence. But what we discovered in Osun was that election-related violence before the election was more than non-election-related violence.
So it shows that largely peaceful
before the election. So what it shows that that shows that the stakes are high in this election. So we recorded 81 cases of election violence. 81 prior to the election. Now, one of the things we have to do, and then we have people died. 2 days to the election, people were killed. So and in fact, I remember I led the delegation to go and meet the DIG posted here. In fact, we went as far as to have meeting with the IG to say, look, what are we doing about this? Now, that security issue is responsible for that kind of deployment you've seen during the election. The police, 15,000, the DSS, NSCDC, 10,000. But the issue here is this. There is a thin line between heavy deployment and over-militarization of the election. Election is a civil affair. Now, should we begin to deploy 15,000 and then they come with tank, armored personnel carrier? And in fact, we went to a particular place in Ede, and then we saw the military holding a rocket launcher. And then you're already giving an atmosphere as if you are going to war. You understand? And I think it has its good side. Why you are thinking you are doing a show of force to scare the hoodlums away. The other side is that some people are scared and husband are telling their wife don't go out, parents are telling their children don't go out. Anything can happen, because at the end of the day, the narrative can be spray bullet, you know. So everybody want to be very careful. That is the other side. And then you now begin to see how that affects voter turnout. However, again, when you now look at that heavy deployment, one of the things we discover is that those deployments are not necessarily the armed men. So you have police, at least 2 in each of the polling units. Or you have over 3,000 polling units. So if you put 2 there, you're already talking about 6,000 polling units.
We saw 5, 6
in some places. So you can see what account for that. But outside that, you now have the people that carry arms. And I think for us, what we have seen is that till 6 o'clock, they perform excellently well, professionally. We didn't see any, or get any report or where they begin to harass individual, except the unfortunate incident in Modakeke, where and the police said they moved in, swiftly detained the officer that released the tear gas and things like that. But when you look at it in terms of their conduct, that was absolutely, I think they tried in this election. The only thing is that I think we had cases of shooting during collation at the collation center, which we think going forward is a lesson that no matter how peaceful from 8:30 to 5, we should not let down our guard and think everything is okay. That is the time they need to do more protection.
All right, so let's talk about credibility. Earlier, we said, according to your report, yes, the process was largely operational, but technological-wise, talking about logistics too, and then maybe integrity concerns too. So let's start with the issue of BVAS. You talked about 15.3% where we recorded failure. So let's start with that and how that also have impact on the credibility of
yes,
that.
It had an impact. Though when you look at 15%
yeah.
and then you look at the maybe 85% success rate,
Yeah.
you still say, they look, I mean, this is very good. But in those places that BVAS did not work, what and those are the things we classify as potential for violence. There were agitation,
Agitation, yes.
and then you cannot imagine if it is a strong goal of somebody. You want to believe that, oh, is it that they want to disenfranchise us here? So those are kind of agitation that this thing brings. Number two is that there is tendency of disenfranchising people. Because when your BVAS is not able to capture people, what happened? Are they not going to vote? So the person came out, have a PVC, the name is on the register, but you cannot, it is your machine that cannot accredit me. But this is my PVC, this is my name on the register. So what you have done is that it's not that the person did not come out, you disenfranchise that person. So, and those are the implications. So for some people, where BVAS was so slow, where BVAS was not working at some point before you change it, then what has happened is that the people that could not be patient for those issues to be resolved or for it to be replaced, what has happened is that they went back home. So that has had an impact on turnout. That has had an impact on people have been disenfranchised. So then the last thing is that when BVAS, all those time you are wasting, that this is not, it makes election to run late into the night. And these are the impact. But in this election, I think 85% was actually a very good thing that they did. And I'm happy because if you recollect, when they conducted the mock accreditation, BVAS was not working well at all. And I'm happy they
I saw the reports from organizations.
Yes, I'm happy. I'm happy that they corrected that.
All right, so let's talk about still technology-wise. Let's talk about IReV. Yes, people have been talking about the credibility of election. Well, I don't know, different strokes for different folks. Some people are saying that it appears we're getting there. According to, I don't know what KDI has to say concerning that. Some people who even confided in us, you know, we always have politicians as friends, are beginning to be scared that with what IReV did in this election, next year election is going to be very transparent, so that they might not have opportunity to, you know, do their abracadabra. So I wanted to talk about the performance of IReV because I saw that you monitored.
See, if you want me to describe IReV in this election, I will say IReV is was the hero of this election.
Great.
That is just the truth.
Wow.
See, it's difficult, even as a journalist. If you have your men out there, you cannot cover over 3,000 polling units. But results going on IReV, and then for us, in fact, what we did was as the result is landing on IReV, we started tabulating. And then we started tabulating. Now, what we have been able to do was that, look, this is the result INEC put on IReV. It was not manufactured anywhere. But this is the result you put on IReV. We tabulated it, and at some point, we released the result. I mean, not the results, what was on IReV. What was on IReV, the tabulation on IReV was released. And then when people now begin to see, and people that, not only us, there are a lot of organizations, some people get on the TV, analyze the results that have come out, some people online were analyzing it. But what we did was that when we tabulated what was on IReV so far as at that time, when it was released, so what happened? People now begin to say, oh, this is the true picture of things. This is the true picture of things. So what that has caused is that it now build the resilience of the people to protect their mandate. So in a way, IReV has caused transparency. That is the transparency we are talking about. And what is election without transparency? And that is so you can see on every side, nobody is kept on the dark. Now, what it means is that on every side, the pressure, the tension dials down, because you can actually say, okay, this is what is out there, this is what I got, this is it. Unlike before, you are the only one that know what you got. The other person is claiming this is what I got. And at the end of the day, the result with your party agent is different from the result with this other party agent. And some party agents even quickly change the thing because they know there is nowhere you will even be able to get it. Now, but now the thing is on IReV. So I think IReV is the hero here because of that transparency. It is difficult now because citizens are monitoring. It is difficult to say you are manipulating anything. It's just imagine if the government comes out now and say, look, the revenue, the revenue for this month is 2 billion, for instance. You believe.
Okay.
That is what you believe. Whether it's more than 2 billion or it's below, you don't know. But now imagine that everybody see how the money is coming in, how the money is coming in. So when they say, oh, okay,
You can ask questions.
you can ask questions. You can say, oh, yeah, this is 2 billion. Yeah, we can see. Yeah, it's 2 billion. 2 billion, no. What we saw there is 5 billion. So that is what it means. So that is what election is really is, because it's a competition. It's a competition. It's like in a football. Just imagine in the game of football, you understand, and then it's only the referee that knows the scores. No other person knows. Nobody saw when it was called. It's not a game. So, but I think the IReV is the hero, if you ask me, of this election. It helped that transparency, and going forward to 2027. I think INEC need to avoid the repeat of 2023. They should make this IReV work. It helps. Don't forget, it is not because we are saying it helps or it works because opposition won or somebody that is not, of course, it's not the opposition in Osun. It's the ruling party in Osun. But we are not saying that because this time around it went to a party that is not ADC or APC or those top NDC or those top parties. Now, but we are saying that when you look at the recent election, look at Ekiti, look at all those elections that IReV worked effectively. After the election, everybody moved on because they can actually see.
They can see.
And that is why I also feel that the politician, one of the things they are doing is they begin to intensify vote buying. So because they know that whatever the people vote and then it's already recorded, is what you see there. So the only thing they can do is to prevent it from being recorded.
So we can now say now that we're having an election now. We're having elections now, not selections.
Yes, I think we are gradually getting to
and our votes are counting now.
I think we are gradually getting to that. I would say it's 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's 100% because you still see in our election, you still see some abracadabra somewhere. I give you an example. When you look at Edo election in Ikobauka in Oredo local government, they did not collect results at the world level. They took it to the Central Collation Center. You understand? And I think, you see, that alone will cast doubt on that election. So those are the things. So again, when I say it's not 100%, but it's beginning, we are beginning to see that process being transparent, and that's something that we can rely on. So we only need to begin to perfect those loopholes.
I know you have a lot on your plate and you've been very busy, so just ask the two short questions and then we'll wrap this up. First off is then the overall credibility, just your total evaluation.
I think, just in a nutshell, this is an election that, personally speaking, I would call 80%.
Oh, great!
And which is very good. 80%. 80%. I think it's look, for the first time, total votes cast over 1 million.
Over 1 million.
They turn out. If you look at every component on election day, reduced violence, turnout high, result management excellent, margin of lead small, like about 60,000. What does that mean? It talks about the competitiveness of the election. Compare it to Ekiti election, when somebody had 300, the next person is 40,000. So what it means is competition. So every aspect excellent.
So you think Nigerians are now going to begin to trust INEC and see the organization as being
I don't want us to be carried away. That is what I will say, because this is an off-cycle election. And then the people in Osun decided, they say, look, they want to protect their votes. So what is going to happen in the southeast? What is going to happen in the south? What's going to happen in the north central at the general election? But this Osun election is a lesson for us.
All right, so finally, 2027 election is upon us. The general election is upon us. So, what are the lessons that INEC and every critical stakeholder should begin to look at, or things that they should definitely repeat, so that we have a credible and a seamless and transparent election next year?
I think for INEC, I will say there is no need of mounting pressure on yourself. I mean, creating a threat for yourself. What it means is that you need to do two things: make the process work. And what are those things? Make BVAS work.
All right.
Make materials available on time. Make IReV work. Nigeria are not asking for more. Simple.
All right.
So, and they have seen how this work in Osun translated to the national. Number for the people, what I have seen, and for us as a country, is that two things happen in Osun that are very instructive. Number one, the turnout was high.
Right.
You have over 1 million coming to vote for a governor. Number two, mandate protection. You saw the people protecting their mandate and say, hey, we are here. Some people are at the collation center at 7 and say, look, so what that means is that we should, one, turn out. It's not the time to go and play football and start watching Netflix. Turn out and at the same time, protect the money. So it's not like you vote, you go and sleep.
All right, so thank you very much, Mr. Bukola Idowu. Sincerely appreciate you. I did say earlier, Mr. Bukola Idowu is the team lead, the executive director, of course, mission director of Kimpact Development Initiative, and it's a pleasure, a very massive one for us at Planet Senior Studios to have him on seat today for this interview. Thank you very much, and we appreciate the yeoman job, the great job, massive job that your organization is doing. All the best, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. So bye for now. My name is Joshua Digbite. Until next time, see you.